All right, guys. So from our previous video, we learned about the definition of communication apprehension. And so, as I said, we are going to be going over the four different types of communication apprehension. And we're going to be going over those in great detail. So I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to be going over those concepts. All right. So as you guys can see here, there are four different types of communication apprehension. And the first one we're going to be going over is called trait anxiety. The next one is called context anxiety. The third is audience anxiety. And the fourth is situation or situational anxiety. Okay, and so like I said, the first one we're going to go over is trait anxiety. And that is described in four different ways. I like to think of it in these four different ways, just so it's easier to actually like comprehend. So trait anxiety can be looked at as it's believed to be inherited. So some people believe that trait anxiety is actually something that is passed down genetically. There's a lot of argument about that, but it's something that I would definitely think about when I think of trait anxiety. They are someone who has trait anxiety is constantly anxious. They like every situation that they're put in, they are extremely anxious. Um, they also avoid communication at all costs. So any type of like avoidance of communication, that is where they're going to be at. And it happens in any type of environment. So in trait anxiety, someone is going to try their best to stay out of any type of communication situation because it literally makes them want to cry and like get the hell out of there. So in communication, or if you had trait anxiety, like public speaking would feel like a death sentence to you. So it is one of the most extreme anxieties in communication apprehension, um, but it's actually very rare. Only about like 20% of the population has it in the world. So it's not really common that someone has trait anxiety as well. Okay, so the next one that we're going to be going over is context anxiety. So, so as you can see, context anxiety is something that is triggered regarding the context that the person is placed in. And I'll give you an example of that. And so an example of that would be speaking in public, like speaking in front of your peers, in front of your classroom. So if we were actually like in class, I would have each one of you get up in front of the classroom and introduce yourself to all of your peers, as I would have to stand up in front of all of you guys, all 30 of you, every day. You would have to go ahead and stand up against all 30 of us. So context anxiety happens when you are in a situation that might feel a little uneasy for you. So like it might be easy for you to talk to your best friend, but standing up in front of a room of complete strangers, you're probably not that great. So that's context anxiety. Everybody has that. It happens to everyone. So the next one, sorry guys, the next one that we're going to talk about is audience anxiety. And so audience anxiety happens when you are just not comfortable speaking in front of like a large audience. As I said before in my previous video, I had to give a speech in front of 300 like freshman students and sophomore students and first generation students, and I knew this faculty member personally, and I knew how to introduce her. I knew all of that, but because they gave me a script like 5 minutes before, they were like, just read it and go up there, and I'm just like, oh shit. I was super anxious, even though I don't really have a problem talking in front of people, but because of that, like I had like this performance audience anxiety because I wanted to make everyone feel good, but also like had to properly introduce the faculty member who was in my department. So that's kind of like where the oh geez, oh man stuff comes into play. Remember, Morty. All right, and the last one is situation anxiety. So situation anxiety, as you can see with Rick and Morty, it's just a mixture of context and audience anxiety. Uh, it could be that you're in a bad situation and you're about to like give a speech in front of a bunch of people that you just don't know, and like you're just tripping out and just not having the greatest time. That would be situation anxiety. It's specific to the audience, it's specific to the situation, specific to what's going on in your life, personally, emotionally, mentally, intellectually. Like there's just a wide range of things that happen with situation anxiety. So I like to put up this little GIF of Rick and Morty because in this episode they just finished like blowing up the space station and like saving the civilization, and they're like, God damn, we need a vacation. So it's, long span of things. So, but as of right now, guys, that is going to be the end of communication apprehension. And so I have placed these slides up for you guys on Blackboard. Review them at any time that you want. Like I said, this will be a part of the midterm. It is, the first half of the semester. So, yeah, other than that, just make sure that you're going to be answering the questions that are going to be posed in this video as well. They're going to be happening right at the end. I'm going to have a couple of multiple choice questions for you guys, and then another discussion post. But outside of that, we are done for this week. So I will see you guys in lecture. All right, so sounds good.